Number one, taunt. You've got to have a way to taunt. Let's talk a little bit about why that matters. Okay, so this is a combat encounter that happened to one of my parties just the other night, and it is from a published adventure, so I'm not going to give you any details. That would be a spoiler, but they just appear in this room kind of by teleportation. So they just appeared in these spots. There were these four medusas, medusas in these locations when they teleported in the room, and then combat just started right here because they were already hostile. You can see that there were two paladins, a barbarian and a warlock, decent damage, decent defenses to survive on their own. They could take a few hits. There's a barbarian who is spec'd as a tank and a frontliner, so decent damage, but also great tanking ability. And then the warlock is spec'd as a controller with a little bit of range damage. Now, the warlock is a goblin, wears no armor, only has an AC of 14. The paladins both have an AC of like 19 or 20. The barbarian has an AC of 18, and combat started. Several of the Medusas went first, including before the warlock, and including that Medusa that was right next to the warlock. Okay, so think about this. And DMs, hot take here, you should not metagame against your players. You should play the enemies tactically, relative to their intelligence and how they might fight, but also relative to only what they can observe from the PCs, what they look like, what they're wearing, and only what they observe them doing. So on round one, as of this point, when some of the Medusas were taking their turns, the Warlock hadn't taken any action yet. And the Barbarian got their Reckless attack going, got their Rage going. Reckless attack is a nice AoE taunt. I'll get into that more later. And they had Rage for damage resistance. And so now it's that Medusa who's right next to the Warlock's turn to go. And all things, if they were equal, the Barbarian has 18 AC, wears armor, has a big weapon. The Warlock has 14 AC, a little goblin, no weapon, no shield. And you can say that the monsters don't see that they have an AC of 18 and 14, but just looking at them, armored and no armor, right? And small, right? And looks squishy, right? So if the Barbarian didn't have their Reckless attack going as an AoE taunt, then that Medusa right next to the Warlock would just attack the Warlock and probably hit. They have 3 attacks. They're pretty high damage. And if that fourth one in the corner also has 3 ranged attacks, might target the Warlock as well. And between the two of them, that Warlock could easily go down. They only had about 60 hit points or something like that, 60, 70 hit points. They could be down in one round before they ever got to go. Meanwhile, the Barbarian, slightly more AC, or a little more than slightly more AC, but like 120 hit points. So even if they got hit by every one of those attacks and took all the damage, the Barbarian still wouldn't be down in one round from 2 Medusas attacking. But this is where Reckless comes into play. And you might be thinking, Reckless? That's not a taunting feature. It's a great taunt. It's actually the best taunt in the game because what it does is it gives, we're going to say statistically on average, a 5-point difference, right? They have advantage to attack you, but they don't have the advantage to attack your allies. And now that effectively means, and we're going to say that's roughly a 5-point difference, right? So +5 to hit you. So the Barbarian effectively lowered his own AC from 18 to 13, and the Warlock's now at 14. That was enough for these Medusas to attack the Barbarian instead of the Warlock because it just made more sense. So they did, and they didn't see that he had resistance yet, so they did attack him, and he resisted more than half the damage because their snake bite has both piercing and poison damage, so he didn't resist the poison damage, but he resisted the slashing from their claws and the piercing from the snake bite. So he resisted most of the damage. Both of them attacked. His AC was lower, and the Warlock survived. Right? I don't even think the Warlock got hit. Maybe they did get hit once, but the Warlock survived. And they may not have survived if that Barbarian weren't using Reckless attack and taunting everything in the room, because if you can reach the Barbarian, then you have advantage to attack him, and that's effectively a taunt. Now, it's a risky taunt because what you're doing is making it easier for them to attack you instead of making it harder to attack your allies, but it's still a taunt. So pretty effective. All right, let's talk about the features that you get from your base class that can help you with taunting. So as I talked about, Barbarian has Reckless attack. Everybody has the option of grappling, which is actually a pretty effective form of taunt. It applies a 5-point difference on average because it gives anybody that you have grappled, any creature that you have grappled, it gives them disadvantage to attack anyone but you. So that gives you the same 5-point difference, but it's the better 5-point difference because instead of the Barbarian lowering his AC from 18 to 13 to be lower than the Warlock, his effective AC to be lower than the Warlock, what you're doing is leaving your AC at 18 and effectively raising the Warlock's AC to 19, right? That's the better way to go because it's not like you want to be hit. You just want to be targeted. So that is the better way to go. But when it comes to just getting people to target you, reckless is a great way to do that. Right? Very good way to do that. And if barbarian can do both, which they can, it's like a double taunt. If you use reckless attack and grapple a target, you've double taunted them. It's a 10-point swing. 10 point, they get plus 10, they get a plus 5 to attack you and a minus 5 to attack anyone else. That's a 10-point difference. That's a super taunt. Only barbarians can do that. They're awesome. I guess you could fall prone and give people advantage to attack you, but that's not living the fantasy of a tank, right? The tank is like that person standing out front, blocking things for their allies and smiling as they're doing it, right? Not run up and lay at their feet. That's weird, but I mean, if you're okay with it, go ahead. Then there's compelled duel, and I've ordered these from left to right in what I think is their level of effectiveness as a taunt. So compelled duel is the next one up, and I would call that like a B at best level taunt. Like reckless attack is an S tier taunt. Grapple is an A tier taunt. Compelled duel B at best. It has a bunch of restrictions. First of all, it has a saving throw, so it may not work. It takes your bonus action, so you can only try it once per round. 2, it takes some kind of spell slot, right, or a free use of the spell casting. 3, your allies can't target it. If your ally targets that guy that you've got compelled duel on, it ends. If you attack anyone but that compelled duel target, then it ends also. And lastly, you're using compelled duel to encourage them to attack you, right? By effectively raising everyone else's AC. You're giving them they're giving that creature disadvantage to attack all your allies. So at least that's the nice part of it. So you're encouraging them to attack you, but now if you get hit, you got to roll a Constitution saving throw to maintain concentration on that spell. And you're not going to have a great Constitution saving throw as a paladin at level 4. And I'm doing all this at level 4 right now just to keep it simpler, set the basics, and we'll get into, we'll go off to all the way to level 20 when we do specific builds. It's just too much to do with broad strokes. So it's a B tier taunt at best. I'd say a C tier taunt is the interception fighting style, right? Because you're going to punish an enemy for targeting an ally. The downside is it's uses your reaction. So first off, the enemies are not going to factor it in until they observe you at least doing it once, right? Round 1, when they've never seen you do it and they attack you, they don't see you doing this, and then they attack an ally. Now they see you doing an interception move. And the punishment you're doing is really just blocking the damage. So now that the next time that enemy is going to be thinking, okay, do I attack an ally and maybe do no damage because he blocks it, or do I just attack the tank? So it's a C tier taunt. And the protection fighting style is like a C minus. It's even worse. So interception you declare after your ally is hit. So you can wait, if attacks 1, 2, and 3 miss, and then attack 4 hits your ally, then you can say, I'm going to use interception and block the damage. The protection fighting style, you have to declare before the attack roll is made. So on attack number 1 against your ally, you've got to say it then. Hey, I'm going to use protection fighting style to give them disadvantage on that attack against the ally, and maybe it misses and they take no damage. But once you've used it, you get 1 reaction per round. You're not using the protection fighting style again the rest of the round. So if there's like 5 enemies and each of them is making 1 attack, then on attack number 1, you use protection fighting style, and then attacks 2, 3, 4, and 5, you're not a factor, right? You have no taunt going on, and they might just ignore you. I mean, there's a good chance they'll just ignore you, right? So that's the worst of all of these options. And I wouldn't even try to say that you're a tank if that's your only way to apply a taunt. So now we're actually going to start bringing in feats. This is a list of what I would call useful feats to help you with taunting specifically. There's 2 origin feats that might apply. The Savage Attacker, which increases your damage, so that makes you a little bit of a bigger threat. And being a threat is a form of taunting, right? That's not like the Tree Trunk, right? The Tree Trunk, your damage is super low, so you're 0 threat, and you're unkillable, so they just walk around you. But if you can be a threat, now they're thinking, well, maybe I take this person out because they're doing so much damage. It's not a great form of taunt, but it's something. Tavern Brawler, same kind of thing. If you're going to be a grappler tank and grappling is your form of taunt, then Tavern Brawler is going to help you do that a little better. It gives you a little boost of damage. It also gives you a little bit of ability to shove them with your unarmed strike at the same time as doing damage. Sometimes that's applicable. All right, the general feats. Fey Touched. You might be saying, what the heck? That's not a taunting feat. Well, you can get compelled duel with it. So if you've got spell slots like the Ranger and you're trying to be a tank, then you need this because the Ranger doesn't have any better ways to taunt unless they're going to grapple, but they're actually not good grapplers either unless you go with a strength-based Ranger. So if you're going with a dexterity-based tank Ranger, then you need this. You've got to have compelled duel. So that's why you would take it. Then there's the grappler feat, which if you're going to be a grapple tank, this is your go-to feat. You want grappler. It enhances the threat of your grapples. It increases the chance you're going to hit with a grapple. And if you have two hands free, like the monk, because they can't wear a shield, then you've got two hands free. You can grapple twice. So that first grapple, if you land it, great, you've got them grappled, and then the grappler feat gives you advantage on the next attack, so increasing the chance even further that your second grapple is going to land, and you can be grappling that enemy with two grapples. And it takes an action to break each one. So unless they have two actions somehow, they can't break your grapple. They can't break both of your grapples. So you've got them locked down. The only way they can get away is some form of like teleport or forced movement, maybe, you know. All right, next up is Resilient Constitution. Once again, how is that a taunt? Well, it's not a taunt. You need it to help you maintain concentration on Compelled Duel. So if you're the Paladin or Ranger trying to tank and Compelled Duel is your only form of taunt, you need to maintain concentration. You might want to be looking at this to get proficiency in the Constitution saving throws to boost that save so that you're not going to lose it as easily. And last, but most important, is Sentinel. This is most often your go-to tanking feature. If you're not going to grapple and you don't have any other form of taunt, Sentinel is a decent taunt. It's a punish for attacking your ally form, much like Interception and the Protection fighting styles, but it's better than both of those because it actually hits the enemy. So you're going to deal damage to them and punish them directly. You're going to set their movement speed to 0 for the rest of that turn so they can't go anywhere. And on top of that, you might apply a weapon mastery if you have one. And if you have Topple and hit them with Sentinel, then you're toppling them as well. So it's a triple punishment for attacking your ally. So it's a pretty good form of punishment. The downside, of course, is, once again, it uses your reaction. So you only have one per round, and it only has an effect on the enemies once they observe you doing it at least once. But of all the reaction-based taunt functions, this is, I would say, the best of all of them. So not a bad way to go. Just because I listed all these doesn't mean they're all equal. I would say these two are your go-tos. If you're a grappler tank, then you need the grappler feat. And if you're anything else, you should probably go Sentinel.